Hey, everybody, welcome to If You Don't Like That. This is a great, great weekend because there will be no more preseason football. I hate preseason football. I feel so bad for the first round draft pick, defensive end of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Derek Harmon, who was carted off the field with a knee injury with a towel over his head in tears. The Steelers did not have any news on the severity of the injury after the game. There are two games tonight. The Steelers played, and you have the Giants currently with New England. I hate it. I just hate it. And there's so much overreaction about preseason football, especially at the quarterback position. Especially at the quarterback position. It's analyzed to death. It's ridiculous. I think we've seen in this preseason quarterbacks that look like they have a future and look like they belong. And then you have other quarterbacks where you're like, I expected more. Because in the preseason, you're not going against scheme defenses with game plans. Very often, there aren't ones on the field. There are twos and threes. And so it's very difficult to evaluate the quarterback position. But you know when a guy looks like he belongs, just like in the NBA Summer League. I don't know if Nick Clifford's going to be an all-star, but he looks like he belonged, right? When you watch him play, you're like, okay, I see that translating into the regular season, and with some growth, I could see him being a pretty good player. It just gives you hope. It gives you a little bit of a barometer, but that's it. There have been many players that have looked excellent. I remember Tim Couch. I mean, he looked great in the preseason, and he was just an absolute disaster. Ryan Leaf, you can go on and on and on. Basketball, there have been guys that have been great in Summer League, and they never could take it once the big boys got on the floor in October. So just have to wait and see. Yeah, Dallas and Philly a week or 2 weeks from tonight, I should say. And, Jerry Jones had some very interesting comments on Michael Irvin's podcast as it relates to Micah Parsons. He said that he made a deal with Micah Parsons that would have been the richest deal in the history of the NFL for a defensive player with guaranteed money. I don't know what's true and what's not true, but I do know this. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I don't want an unhappy Micah Parsons. And I don't want a guy that I think he's the best defensive player in football. That's just my opinion. I don't want him saying, I want to go play somewhere else. That's not a good situation. And if he's not the best defensive player in football, he's in the conversation. Like, you can't have a conversation about most impactful, best defensive players in the NFL and not have Parsons in the conversation. And it kills me to be speaking this way about a Dallas Cowboy player. Come on. I mean, but hey, Sean Salisbury, right? You know about my new radio show beginning September 2nd. Rhino and yours truly, we are pumped to get rolling. September 2nd, 3 o'clock, Fox Sports Radio, 104.7 FM, 890 AM. Sean Salisbury will be a weekly guest on Fox Sports Radio with me. I'm working out the date and time with Sean, but he is an extremely entertaining segment. I'll also have him here on the YouTube channel from time to time. Love Sean, love what he brings, and he will be on the radio every week during the football season. So I am very excited about that. September 2nd, we debut. September 2nd. It's going to be a lot of fun. 12 to 3. All right. Why don't we get the show rolling here? Let's see if we can talk to Jay. Hello, Jay.
Hi there, Grant. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, first time. So I have to say,
I was going to say, I don't recognize you. I'm happy to have you on. Thank you.
thank you. It's an honor to be on here. One of the first memories I have of you is actually at the Lifetime Fitness out in Folsom back in like 2016 and 17. I'd always see you work out there. But,
all the time. And boy, I miss that. I love Lifetime Fitness. That is a phenomenal place. I used to go there every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd always see you, I think, around like mid-afternoon typically. I would go there when I get out of school.
Yeah.
And me being 15 years old, I was honestly too shy to say hi to you just because
Ah,
I'm pretty introverted. So what I actually wanted to call about was I tuned in a little bit too late, but did you talk about the report about the Kings possibly trading Malik for Westbrook?
yeah, they won't trade him for Westbrook. If they make a trade with Malik, it looks like it would be for Jonathan Kuminga. Westbrook would just be a guy you sign as a free agent and a minimum contract. Here's my take on this, Jay. Jerry Reynolds talked about this with Ryan a couple of weeks ago on the show that they do on Tuesdays, which they just ended because we're moving into live radio. So Jerry will be with us, but there will be a different format. But I'm getting off track here. Jerry made a good point. You know, what are the Kings doing right now? And what he said is they're basically an older team, and you don't want to be an older team when you missed the playoffs for 2 years in a row and won 40 games a year ago. Like, for instance, you got a starting point guard this year in Dennis Schroeder, who's going to be 32. You have DeMar DeRozan, who's still very effective, but I mean, what's he, 36 now? You have Levine, what are you doing by acquiring a Russell Westbrook? That's number one. And I want to ask you this because I'm sure you are a big Kings fan. Right now, the way the roster looks, Devin Carter is the fifth guard. But we saw glimpses of Carter last year when he got onto the floor. Personally, because of injuries and everything else, I would not want Russell Westbrook at age 37 coming to a team that's so-so and possibly stunt the growth of a player in Carter who I think has a lot of upside, but I won't see it if Russell Westbrook comes over to Sacramento. So personally, I'm not crazy. Now, there are a lot of people that want Russell Westbrook on the Kings. I'm not one of them. It doesn't make sense to me.
I agree. And the thing that kind of frustrates me the most as a Kings fan actually is one, it's crazy to me seeing just how the value of a player can change within the season. You know, we thought that Malik's 4 year, $78 million deal was extremely team friendly. You know, it offered us a lot of flexibility, but then when Fox got moved and then we got Levine, we suddenly realized like, holy smokes, like now Malik's contract is pretty much like untradeable. Like we thought, 4 years, 78 million. So what is that, about $18 million a year? Like people thought that was a steal, but now you look at people like Ty Jerome on the Cavaliers. You know, he's very similar to Malik. He's an all offensive guard who doesn't play a lot of defense, but is a great spark off the bench. He was signed for $9 million a year. So that's half of Malik's contract. So I think it shows you the general trend that I've seen, at least with guards that are just pure offense and are extremely ball heavy. They don't, the NBA doesn't want players like that. And once you sign a player like Malik to that long term deal at that value, it's going to be really hard to get off that contract
You,
without
you know, Well, first of
extra.
all, I like Malik Monk, and I think his role is not as a starter. I think his role with the Sacramento Kings would be as a six man, and every team needs an offensive minded six man. We know Malik's not a tremendous defender. We get all of that. But when you look at successful teams around the NBA, they all have that guy that can come off the bench and be an instant scorer. And I think that Malik, when he was playing his best with Sacramento, he was able to do that. Uh, Here's the issue that I see with the team right now, Jay. Assuming, and I think this is something we can make an assumption on, Schroeder and Levine are going to be your starting backcourt. Well, we saw the effectiveness of the Kings when Keon Ellis was on the floor last year. He needs to be on the floor. Malik Monk needs to be on the floor. That's four guards. You don't see a lot of teams with a four guard rotation for many minutes. It's going to be very interesting, assuming that this is the way the roster is going to look in October. And I haven't even mentioned Devin Carter yet. And we've heard Scott Perry talk about how he would like to see Nick Clifford be at the point at times, and he thinks he can do that. I don't think he's ready for that just yet. But the point is, you can only play five guys at once. And I just don't know how these minutes are going to be divvied up because Keon Ellis needs minutes. You saw the effectiveness of the Kings when Keon Ellis was on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, Keon is without a doubt one of the best value players like all around in the league. I think all 29 other teams would be very lucky to have someone like Keon, especially
Yep.
on that contract. I
Yep.
think, and to your point, Grant, you said a 4 guard lineup. I mean, Sacramento did that a couple years when they had Davion, Tyrese, and Fox all on the floor, and they were forced their hand and had to deal out one of them, and that's where I want to kind of talk about, like, with Coach Christie and with the way that the roster set up. All the players, especially if they add someone like Westbrook, because he's so ball dominant. Not only him, but like all 5 players except for Sabonis, assuming that it's going to be Westbrook, Levine, DeRozan, Murray, and Sabonis. Pretty much all of them except Sabonis need the ball in their hand, and that's where I'm so confused as a fan, because from a coaching perspective, because I used to coach youth basketball, when you have 4 players that are so ball dominant, and you're going to be requiring Sabonis basically to run the offensive hub. We didn't really see that from Coach Christie when he was coaching. A lot of
Well,
it was just very basic, pick and roll, and then have those players work ISO. That's not really a success formula in the NBA, in my opinion.
if the Kings acquire Westbrook, he won't start. He's not going to start. He's coming off the bench. The Kings have their starting point guard.
Oh
It's
yeah,
Dennis Schroeder.
yeah,
And but you're right about being ball dominant. That's another reason that I don't like that. And the other aspect of this whole situation is the Kings' Achilles heel is their defense. Levine's not a good defensive player. DeMar DeRozan's not a good defensive player, right? Keegan Murray's a very good defensive player. Schroeder's not bad. He's not Gary Payton in his prime, but he's not bad. But defensively, this team still, to me, has got real liabilities. And adding Russell Westbrook just doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what Vivek is going for, and that's where it makes me sad as a Kings fan, because like he could, in theory, considering that, yeah, we probably can't unload Levine's contract, but he should do everything he can to try to gradually unload pieces. But by committing potentially to Westbrook, what he's telling me, and I think a bunch of other fans, is that he thinks that this is a playoff worthy squad. And that's not going to be the case at all,
I don't
especially
think
if you
so.
have an offensive system
Yeah.
in place. So it's going to be an interesting season, but things aren't looking the best. But
Jay,
thanks for
hey,
Brent.
call again. I appreciate that. And I hope you can join me on my new show beginning September 2nd, buddy. I'm on 3 to 6 every afternoon.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Take care now. Appreciate it. All right, some good points from Jay. I think we have to talk about 2 things here. First of all, we still have 7 weeks until the regular season begins. 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks. So this roster could still change with a trade or 2, but they have a lot of guards on the roster. And if you add Russell Westbrook, then you really have a lot of guards on the roster. Russ is a turnover machine and can't shoot. Again, it doesn't make sense to me. Just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. I don't see why you would want Russell Westbrook on the Kings. And here's the other deal about Russell Westbrook. It's almost September, and he still doesn't have a team to play for. What does that tell you? Says, I'm not excited for the new upcoming season, sticking with 40 wins max, most likely around 38. A lot of things that you don't know about, and that's injuries. I'm looking at the November schedule that the Kings have, and I'm just like, whoa. Like if they're not playing at a very high level at the beginning of the season, they could be buried before we even get to the holidays. So this is going to be a critical stretch of basketball at the beginning of the season. And conversely, you don't know about other teams if they have an injury. Like you play Oklahoma City 3 times in a month. I mean, what happens if SGA gets hurt, right? I mean, things change. Things change. So, but the schedule's daunting. That's for sure. All right. Glad to have you with us. Thank you, Jay, for the call. Getting a lot of compliments here on the chat line, which I love. And I get a lot of compliments when I talk about New Works Plumbing from so many of you that have used New Works when you have plumbing concerns, plumbing repairs. Call the number on your screen, go to their website or newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com, New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. Again, they're available around the clock 24/7. Make sure you think of New Works Plumbing the next time you're in the need of plumbing service. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. I've got a fix for you. 3 o'clock, September 2nd. Can't wait. Rhino's pumped up. I'm pumped up. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. John, how are you, buddy? Everything good? See? John, if Jay compliments you, that's good, man. Patrick compliment you. Mark complimenting you. Yeah, you're getting a lot of good compliments, Jay. Appreciate that. He said he was too introverted to come up to me when he was 15, but you can see he's matured. He's grown up. No problem. I'm going on with Napes. I'm going to talk to him face to face on YouTube and on X. I love it. I love it. Yes. And I love Lifetime. What a great fitness facility that is all over the country. The one in South Florida here is too far from me. So it was not practical. But boy, I love when they built that new Lifetime in Folsom, I was like, oh, love Lifetime. And the one in Minnesota, which is, I think, where they're based out of, at the Target Center, where the Timberwolves play, is freaking unbelievable. It really is. Said, I see the Kings experimenting with their lineup. I've got the app loaded, Grant. Can't wait for your new show. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Forgot to ask, opinions on David Adelman. Seems like a very smart coach. I'm sure Rick would have loved a player like Jokic to coach. Just need to surround him with shooters and off-ball. Well, he did have a player like Jokic to coach. He had Vlade Divac. Is Vlade as good as Nikola Jokic? No, but they're very similar. But he's not as talented as Nikola Jokic. So he did have a player to coach. But back to David Adelman. I've known David ever since he was basically a kid. I've always been a fan of David Adelman, and everyone in the league knew at some point that David Adelman would become a head coach in the NBA. I don't think anyone could have forecasted that it would have been in the middle of last year or at the end of last year for Michael Malone. But I think David Adelman, as you could see in the playoffs, with the success they had, taking OKC to a Game 7, can do the job and will do the job, and I think he'll be very successful. James says, I had a debate with my cousin over not knowing your roster. He takes Kobe over LeBron. I'll take LeBron. What's your take? I'll take LeBron because he could be an all-star at all 5 positions. If I have the game on the line and I need a player to put a dagger in the other team, I'll take Kobe. John, you're pumped up, sleeves rolled up to your freaking neck. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm new to the chat, but I've been a long-time follower. Welcome back to Sack Grant. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Grant, you think it's a bad idea to let go or trade Malik Monk for Westbrook? And plus, how are you feeling about the Giants? I don't think Monk's going to be moved at all. He's been in the trade rumors all summer, and he's still with Sacramento. Why would you trade Malik Monk for Russell Westbrook? Like, that makes 0 sense. I just 0 sense. I think the Giants' biggest downfall is going to be their schedule. They have a brutal, brutal schedule. But defensively, I think they're a lot better. Malik Neighbors has got to stay on the field. Offensive line appears to be a little better as long as Andrew Thomas, who returned to practice this week, is at left tackle. They could surprise some teams. They could, but they're in a very difficult division with Philly and Washington. I don't think Dallas is going to be that good. They'll be respectable, but their schedule is brutal. Brutal. What is the Kings' biggest impediment to success? Ownership or other? Ownership. Managing general partner ownership. Was I a Crawdad regular at one time? Every Friday and Saturday night during the summer months, and Sunday. Sunday was great at Crawdads. That was my favorite day. I lived at Crawdads. I lived only 5 minutes from Crawdads. I used to be there in the 80s and the early 90s. Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was there. And Sundays at Crawdads in the summer. Where was there any place better than that? I mean, it's great. Why trade Malik Monk at all? Team is boring enough. Monk adds excitement in addition to talent. Fox did the same. I'm not really as concerned about excitement as I am about wins. I think that Malik Monk does a lot of good things for Sacramento, and I personally am a fan of his. And I wouldn't be crazy to see him leave, but I don't know what you would get back in return for him. How about that? Johnny B made my shrimp tacos and knows where I sat at the bar. That's pretty amazing considering that was, what are we talking about here? 35 years ago? Or similar to that? Have I ever heard of Bad Dog Sports? Big Giants and Yankees YouTube reminds me. Let's see, let me scroll down here. Reminds me of you since they're both so honest and tell it as is. Must be a New York thing. It is a New York thing. It's an East Coast thing, not really a New York thing, and I'm not familiar with them, but thank you. I had a silly thought, have Chris Russo introduce you opening day with that yell like Mike and the Mad Dog. Just kidding, of course. That would be interesting, huh? Was Pete Carrill cool in person? Never got to meet him. Coachy was a saint. I don't know of anyone that didn't like being around Pete Carrill. Just a great man, humble, caring, wanted to know about your family, was able to take a complex scenario in basketball and put it in the layman terms in one sentence and make you go, oh, okay, I get it now. He had a knack of doing that. I used to sit on the bench. Pete always used to come out early and sit on the bench while the team was going through drills, shooting drills, or whatever. I'm talking about game nights. And Pete would talk to you, but he would never look at you because he never took his eyes off the players going through their fundamentals. So Pete would talk to you, but his mind was completely watching what was going on in front of him. And I did most of the listening when I talked with Coachy. Because if you listened, being around Pete Carrill, you would learn something. Bless that man. Rest in peace, Coachy. What a great man. Great man. Just great. Thank you for asking, because that brings back very fond memories. Phenomenal man. Phenomenal. Hey, Sunrise Landing in Calusa. I know I talk about this a lot, but they still have beautiful homes to choose from because they have a lot of different phases they're doing as they move on in this beautiful development. Look at these homes. Beautiful. 6 to choose from. No Mellorews. No homeowners. Adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Sunrise Landing in Calusa from Blazona Development. I-5 will get you there. Highway 45, Highway 20, so you have great access. Go to CalusaSunrise.com and check out beautiful Sunrise Landing. What else is going on today? What else do you want to talk about? You're welcome. Jameis Winston always has to find a way to throw an interception. It's funny. You're talking about Mr. Pick Six? Is that who we're talking about? Mr. Pick Six? I don't know how he's going to be on the. I would rather here's how I would have my depth chart. I'd have Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Tommy DeVito. Anyone excited about Sac State basketball? Maybe not yet, but I think they will be. And I think Mike Bibby's going to turn around that program, and I'm pumped for Mike. I had a nice conversation with Mike last week, and I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him. Listen, this is going to be a big challenge for Mike. But if you know anything about Mike Bibby, he's made for this. Mike is made for this. Mike Bibby, I think, is going to do a hell of a job there. And I think he'll put them on the map compared to where they are now. It's pretty cool. You got Mike Bibby with Sac State and Jim Les with UC Davis. And Jim's just, I love Jim Les. Been a dear friend of mine, and the guy can coach. You know, the guy can coach. The guy can coach. Winston is a great locker room guy. I'll take him over any Colts quarterback. We're talking about the Colts, really? He is great in the locker room. I would agree with that. That's what I've heard about him. I've never met him, but that's what I hear. But I need a guy that's great on the field. I might put Tommy DeVito ahead of Dart. I wouldn't. There's no way I'm putting him ahead of Dart. Not doing that. First of all, the fans would go crazy. Have I ever bought gold in Thailand? I have a 1 baht gold chain from there. 1 baht. 1 baht? For everyone that doesn't know what 1 baht is, 33 baht make $1. What kind of gold are you getting for 1 baht? Come on now. Come on. Come on. I think, typo, Bibby will do well. This city is extremely excited. I live about 2 miles from Sac State. Everybody is pumped up. They have their sleeves rolled up to their freaking necks, stingers up. That's good. I'm happy for that. You know? Back in the day, I worked at Peppermill. Reggie, Harold, Kenny Smith were regulars. One night saw KJ come in with the Cavs. Yeah, there was nowhere else to go. There was Peppermill and TGIF Fridays. That's it. There's nowhere else to eat. Seriously. Where else were you going to eat? There was nothing open after 9 o'clock. Jared Goff is not the guy to take the Lions to the Super Bowl despite how talented they are. Really? Well, how did he already play in a Super Bowl? How did he already win an NFC championship? How did he play in a Super Bowl? He's already done it. Why can't he do it with a Lions team? So, I mean, yeah, you can. He can because he's already done it. Maybe he meant 100 baht or 100K baht. Well, if he meant 100K baht, that's roughly 3,000 US dollars. So I could see that. I could see that. People remember Saquon was on the Giants when Tommy won those 3 games. True. What was my initial reaction to Jason Williams being traded for Mike Bibby? My initial reaction was I was really going to miss being around Jason Williams and watching him play because he just gave you that whoa factor. But I knew the Kings were getting a legitimate floor leader. And at the time, I thought that Mike Bibby would be able to take the Kings to the next level. So I was okay with it, but I was like, man, announcing Jason Williams for 82 times a year is so damn special, and I'm not going to have that anymore. So that's what I was thinking. But, I mean, it ended up being a great trade for Sacramento. And it really for Jason, too. It worked out well for both. But Jay Will did not want to leave. I mean, obviously. But Mike Bibby was able to take the team to the next level. So that's the one thing, you can't ever go back and say that wasn't a good trade. That was a good trade. Are the Giants considered a sleeper team? They are by some. I'm not ready to go there yet because of their offensive line. I'm not ready to go there yet. And their back end is questionable. I think they may have as good a defensive front as there is in football. Their front seven's very good. Their back end not very good. So if they cannot get to the quarterback, they're going to have some real issues. So I'm not ready to go there just yet. Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, and Hurts are ahead of Goff. Well, I'm not ready to say Jaden Daniels is above Jared Goff after 1 year. Okay. I would agree with you that Jalen Hurts is, and I'm not ready to say Jordan Love yet. I mean, have you not watched what Jared Goff has done with the Lions and what he did when he was a quarterback that started a Super Bowl, or did you forget about that? Now, Daniels might be better than Goff, but I can't put Jaden Daniels after one good rookie year. And I know that they won in Detroit. I get all of that. Okay. I get all of that. But I can't put him ahead of Jared Goff today. I just can't. Now, you might ask me this question at the end of the year, and I'm like, yep, you're right. But right now I can't. Jeff Petrie was either a genius GM or lucky. Oh, both. He was very good at what he did, but he wasn't flawless. He drafted Thomas Robinson, which was a horrendous pick, instead of Damian Lillard. But he picked Peja Stojakovic. He drafted Hedo Turkoglu. He drafted Gerald Wallace. Right? I'm talking about even Hedo and Gerald that ended up having tremendous careers. He was very good. A genius. Listen, he went to college at Princeton, so you got to be pretty damn smart to get through that curriculum. Jeff wouldn't want to be called a genius. He was very good at what he did, though. He was very, very good at what he did. That's for sure. Brian Bennett is very, very good at being a restaurateur. All right? Excellent prime seafood and steaks at Bennett's. Sacramento Roseville, the West Side Grill in Rockland. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com and make a reservation. Get down there for their outstanding weekend brunch Saturday and Sunday. I cannot wait to get there next week. I will be at Bennett's next week. Pumped up. Can't wait. bennettsrestaurants.com. I can't wait to see Brian and everyone. I'll be at all 3 locations throughout my days in Sacramento. If you see me at Bennett's, please come up and say hello. How's your day going? Having a good night? All right? Having a good night? Weather is windy from the hurricane. Hurricane Aaron off the shore. But other than beach erosion, we're good. Good, Patrick. I'm happy to hear that, buddy. Happy to hear that. Why are people so high on Hurts as a quarterback? Because as a pro, he hasn't passed over 23 touchdowns in a single season. Pass-heavy league. Eagles team is loaded with talent. Well, I'm high on Jalen Hurts because he's a winner. In his first Super Bowl against Kansas City, he was the best player on the field, except for one strip fumble. That was a huge play in the game that ended up being in 6 going the other way. Hurts was not good in that Super Bowl. He was great. He was great at Alabama. He just won a Super Bowl. Yes, they had Saquon Barkley. Yes, they had a good offensive line. Yes, they had a good defense. But that's what it takes to win a Super Bowl. So you get too caught up in numbers, right? You get too caught up in numbers. The fact that you said he hasn't thrown for more than 23 touchdowns in a season doesn't mean squat. It means nothing. It's irrelevant. Okay? He plays in the NFC East. Okay? He plays in a windy stadium. He plays in a division where running has always been very important when you're playing in December at the Meadowlands in Washington and your home games in Philadelphia. Last year, he had Saquon Barkley. There was no reason to continue to throw the ball in the end zone like you wanted him to. So you get too caught up in numbers. Use the eyeball test, okay? The guy's been to 2 Super Bowls already, played great in the first one that he barely lost. Played great, not good, played great. Great, okay? And just won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, you're selling him way short. Johnny B, look at Hurts rushing yards. I didn't even mention that. Here's a big Cowboys fan. I hate the Eagles, but Jalen Hurts is a winner. He doesn't F up when other people do. Spot on, 100%. James, your takes are ridiculously stupid. Just my opinion, once the Eagles don't win, Hurts is let go. So if they don't win the Super Bowl this year or they don't make it to the Super Bowl, they're going to let him go? Come on. Justin says many teams would love to have Jalen. He would tear numbers up if he were in a pass-heavy offense. Amen, 100%. You get it. You know. I don't know how you could be down on Jalen Hurts. I really don't. I mean, wow. I don't get it. I don't understand. And I hate the Eagles. All right? I hate the Eagles. And I have to give props where props are due. I mean, you know how hard it is for me to sit here and give props to Micah Parsons and the Cowboys and Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. You know, like that's against my freaking religion. That's why I don't play fantasy football. All my friends, well, how come you're not in the league? Why do I want to play fantasy football? I got to root for, if I got to take a player on another team. If I play fantasy football, my whole team's going to be New York Giants. And then I'm probably not going to do very well because they haven't been very good lately. But you think I'm picking a player on Dallas? Like, for instance, if CeeDee Lamb's available when I draft, I'm not taking CeeDee Lamb. Even if he's the best player on the board, I'm not taking him. You think I'm going to sit there on Sundays and have to root for anybody on the Cowboys? Like, what the hell's wrong with people? Seriously. Like, I got to root for players on other teams because I'm in fantasy football? Screw that. I'm not rooting for anybody on any other team. Let's make sure we have an understanding. Thank you very much. Who do I hate more, the Golden State or the Lakers? Hate's a very strong word. I don't really hate, but the Lakers. The Lakers. I think the Titans and Ward are going to have problems. Have you heard about the scuffle of him and a defensive player? Scuffle means nothing. It's irrelevant. Doesn't mean anything. They're going to have problems because they're not very good. That's going to be their biggest problem. That's right. We forgot that James is the same guy that would take Romo over Aikman. Thank you, Justin. Enough said. Enough said. I mean, there's nothing else that needs to be said. John says, I know, Grant. We are in it together, buddy. Yes, we are. We are, John. Yes, we are. We think alike, my friend. I like reality football much better than fantasy. Me too. Give me the real thing, John. 2 weeks from tonight. John's Cowboys, the team that he loves, going into Philly against Jalen Hurts at the link. Saquon and the Eagles. Think Micah Parsons is going to be on the field? I do. I think he'll be on the field. You say hell no? You don't think he's going to be on the field? I think he's going to be on the field. I think he'll play. I really do. I can't wait for this week to be over and really next week too, because then we got something to roll and talk about every day on this show and on Fox Sports Radio. Here's what I'm going to do, just so you all know. I'm going to do my daily show on Fox Sports Sacramento, all right? Monday through Friday, 3 to 6, all right? Then at 7 o'clock, right here, I'll do my YouTube show. When the King season begins, Rhino and yours truly will be doing all of the post-game shows, 82. We'll be doing some halftime shows, not all of them. Jerry Reynolds will be joining us during the post-game shows quite often. We will be doing other Kings programming here on YouTube, in addition to what we talk about on Fox Sports Sacramento. So keep that in mind, all right? You're not going to lose me here on this channel. I want this channel to grow. I want this channel to explode. And I want this channel, which I already think it is, but I want it to be the definitive #1 channel for your Sacramento Kings coverage and your Sacramento Kings postgame show. I think it already is, but I want to blow it out of the water. Okay? So game 1 of 82, game 82 of 82, and the other 80 games in between, this will be the place. Okay? This will be the place. Can't wait. Can't wait. I'm going to be working, man. 3 to 6 every day, 7 o'clock here, post-game shows. Yeah, let's do it. How did I meet Rhino? Rhino came up to me when Jim Rome was in Sacramento at the radio station, and they had a get-together when Jim was actually doing a show live. And after that, Ryan came up to me and introduced himself to me, and we started talking, and it just went from there. I'm so happy for him, man. He's kicking butt. He's kicking butt. Hello, Oscar. How are you, man? I had the Las Vegas Raiders as a sleeper team this season. Tough division to be a sleeper team. Tough division. I don't think they're there yet, but better at the quarterback position. Genti looks like, the real deal at running back. Max Crosby, I mean, good Lord, what can you say? He's one of the top 5 defensive players in football. We'll see. We'll see. Haunted Horse, how are you, buddy? The only thing with contracts in the NFL is that a player can be out even if he has more years in his control. So holdouts don't bother me. Only in the NFL, I get it. Very true. It's 100% correct. 100% correct. Yep. No doubt. As a Denver Broncos fan, at the very least, I would like to see them finish with a better record than the Raiders. I think they will. I think they're a better team. I think they're a better team. So I think they will. All right. We'll wrap up the week tomorrow. Appreciate all of you. Stay safe. We're getting there. Final weekend of the preseason. Rolling right into football. Before you know it, basketball. Can't wait. Can't wait. Talk to you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.